Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive. This one's going to be about Allison Holker's new memoir.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this far. My story of love, loss, and embracing the light. I
Okay.
think it'll resonate with a lot of people. It just came out, like February 4th.
Wow, brand new.
So new. And the reviews are already coming in.
That's cool. Well, I mean, a lot of people know Allison Holker, from So You Think You Can Dance,
Well, yeah.
Dancing with the Stars. But this book, I think, is going to go so much deeper than just, the glitz and glam of being a dancer.
It's going to be interesting to see how she handles it too,
Yeah.
because of the tragic passing of her husband,
Right.
Stephen Push Boss, back in 2022.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
It was a loss that really shook a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And the book is structured in a way, it's almost like a roadmap for processing,
Oh,
a big loss.
interesting.
It's divided into three parts:
Yeah.
love, loss,
Right.
and embracing the light.
Okay, so it follows, the grieving process.
Yeah, exactly. So let's start with that first section, love.
Okay.
The reviewer that I was reading described her writing style as very warm and inviting.
Right.
Like she's just like confiding in a close friend. What's interesting, though, is that it's not just focused on romantic love.
Right.
It really goes into those really foundational relationships, that shape us.
I think that's a really great point. I think by exploring all those different types of love, like with family, friends, your craft,
Exactly.
that really lays a foundation for how those connections can help you get through tough times.
Right.
When you're facing loss and things like that.
That makes a lot of sense. And of course, a big part of that is going to be her relationship with Twitch. I'm curious to see,
Yeah.
how she portrays that partnership, because we've all seen glimpses of it,
Right.
in the public eye.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see more.
I think she does a really great job at talking about their mutual respect and admiration for each other, not only as romantic partners,
Right.
but also as collaborators,
Yeah.
creatively. Like they really pushed each other to grow,
Yeah.
both professionally and personally. And I think it's that depth of connection that makes the second part of the book, Loss, just, really powerful.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Just bracing myself for that section. Knowing how honest she is,
Mm-hmm.
it can't be easy to share that.
Well, and that's the thing, is that she doesn't shy away from the nitty gritty of it all.
Right.
Like the confusion and the anger, the despair.
Yeah.
She really puts it all out there. But I think in doing that, she starts a really important conversation about mental health
Oh, for sure.
and seeking help.
Which I think is really important, because there's a lot of stigma around that.
Yeah, it's huge. And she's right in the public eye and being so vulnerable. And it's it's okay to not be okay.
Right. And to ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that struck me too, reading some of the reviews, was that this section is different because it avoids a lot of those typical platitudes about grief.
Yeah.
It's not about easy answers.
It's really not. And I think that's what makes her perspective so, relatable.
Yeah.
Because it is so messy. And it's not linear.
It's real.
Yeah.
So how does she even transition from that,
Yeah.
from that really raw space
Uh-huh.
to embracing the light, which is the final section?
Well, it's not about erasing the pain or anything like that. It's about finding joy and purpose, even while you're grieving.
Okay.
It's about noticing those little sparks of light and kind of leaning into those.
I can only imagine how hard that is,
It's gotta be tough.
when everything feels dark, to find the light.
Yeah, and she talks a lot about how community and self-care and connecting with things that bring her joy help her through it.
Yeah.
But she doesn't say, this is what you have to do. It's more like she's showing that the human spirit is resilient.
That's really inspiring. I love that.
Yeah.
That while loss is inevitable,
Right.
it doesn't have to define us,
It really doesn't. You can find meaning and purpose.
even with that pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that choice, that choice to embrace the light is what makes this memoir different.
Mhm.
It's not just a story about loss. It's about hope and resilience and love.
It really sounds like she is offering like a path forward, not by ignoring the pain, but by finding a way to carry it.
Exactly. And, her background as a dancer really, comes out here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she talks about movement and creative expression like it was therapy.
That makes sense. I was thinking about that. I wonder if the book talks more about her career,
Yeah.
outside of how it connects with Twitch.
Right.
because dance has been such a huge part of her life.
Yeah, and she does touch on that, like her early years,
Okay.
trying to make it.
Yeah,
But what's really cool is how she connects those early experiences to her resilience later.
I see.
Like, to succeed as a dancer takes a lot of grit and determination.
Right.
And it seems like all that, like, prepared her to go through the emotional, like, turmoil of grief.
It's almost like she was training for it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
like an emotional muscle memory.
Yeah.
She also talks about motherhood and how her children became both a source of pain,
Yeah.
but also like this huge motivation. Like
Right.
she wants to honor Twitch
Yeah.
by raising their kids with the same love and joy that he lived.
I can't even imagine how hard that would be.
Yeah.
But also, like, what a motivator,
Yeah.
It speaks to the idea that even in the face of, like, horrible grief, there's still this drive to create a better future.
Yeah.
Not just for ourselves, but for our kids,
Yeah.
for the people that we love.
Exactly. And I think what was really cool was she didn't shy away from the tough parts of parenting while you're grieving. Like she
Yes.
talked about guilt,
Mhm.
feeling overwhelmed, just like the struggle to balance your needs
Yeah.
with the needs of your kids.
I think that's so important because it's really real for people who are going through it too.
Yeah.
And it reminds everyone that there is no right way to grieve,
Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. There's no right way, no timeline. And I think by sharing that, she kind of gives other people permission to just
Yeah.
embrace whatever they're going through.
Talking about all this, I'm realizing this book is like part of a bigger shift
Yeah,
in how everyone is looking at grief and mental health,
for sure.
Like, we are finally starting to talk about these things.
It's so important. We are being more compassionate,
Yeah.
more understanding.
Yeah. And I think this book is part of that.
Totally agree.
I am curious about something. The reviewer mentioned a couple places where they thought the book could have been stronger.
Oh, yeah.
Did they give any details on that?
Yeah, they said the book, obviously very personal, very
Yeah.
moving, but the pacing felt a little uneven in some places. Like it felt like the story was jumping around.
A little too fast.
Yeah, it makes sense. There's a lot to cover,
Yeah. There is.
and it's such heavy stuff. It's got to be hard to balance that all.
Yeah.
I see.
They also thought that she could have talked a little bit more about other parts of her life
Okay.
outside of Twitch.
Oh, like
Her career. Yeah, her career as a choreographer. She is so talented.
yeah.
And she obviously has a lot to say.
Yeah, maybe that'll be her next book.
Maybe.
Okay.
But even with that, they said the book was really great.
Okay.
Like, they loved how honest and vulnerable it was.
Yeah.
And how she just, put those big emotions out there.
With grace.
With grace, exactly.
It sounds like the kind of book that sticks with you.
Yeah.
I definitely want to read it now.
It's a good one. And, that's what's so cool about these deep dives. It's not about, giving you a summary.
Right.
It's about making you curious.
Yeah.
About exploring these ideas.
Yeah.
And seeing what it means for you, connecting with the stories.
Yeah.
And figuring out what you can learn.
And with this one, Holker's story, it gives you a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Grief, resilience,
Yeah.
support.
Before we wrap up, I want to go back to something we were talking about before.
Yeah.
Holker's book is part of this bigger conversation about grief and mental health.
Absolutely.
I think it's so important to talk about that.
Yeah, and she is so open.
Yeah.
And honest about her struggles. She doesn't try to make it seem like it was easy or perfect.
Right.
And that helps other people feel like it's okay to struggle too.
And it reminds us that we don't have to do it alone.
Yeah, you can ask for help.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay to be vulnerable,
And I think that is so important because
Yeah.
we see so much perfection everywhere.
Yeah, it's not real.
It's really not.
So as we're, thinking about Holker's journey, what stands out to you the most?
Oh, good question. What parts of her story,
Mhm.
really make you think? Or how could her message, help you with your own challenges?
It could be how important love and connection are, or her dedication to dance,
Yeah.
or how brave she was to just face her grief.
Or maybe it's something else, something completely different.
Totally.
Just something that really speaks to you.
We really encourage you to, think about it,
Yeah.
read the book
Yeah.
and see what comes up.
Yeah, because that's what these deep dives are all about.
Sparking that curiosity.
Yeah, wanting to learn and grow.
And ultimately, finding your own way is a good reminder,
Yeah.
Even with that horrible loss, you can still heal. You can
Mhm.
grow, find light in new places.
It's about knowing that grief doesn't have to be the end of you. You get to choose how you move forward.
Right. How you remember the people you've lost.
Yeah.
And it's inspiring, I think, to see Holker doing that, you know, like
Mm.
actively searching for those moments of hope.
Yeah, and she doesn't pretend it was easy. Like
Yeah.
a straight line from A to B.
Right. She talks about the messiness of it all,
Oh, yeah.
the setbacks, the
Those
doubts.
dark moments.
It's all part of it.
And that makes me feel like, okay, it's okay for me to feel all that too, you know? Like, I don't have to be perfect at grieving.
Exactly. It's your journey.
It's my own thing. Yeah.
There's no timeline for it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one last thought,
Okay.
kind of like a challenge, you know. Think about Holker's story.
Okay.
What does it mean for you? How does it change how you look at grief,
Yeah.
loss, resilience, all that?
Good stuff.
Maybe it will, like, help you want to find your own sources of light, you know?
That'd be great.
Like your people, things that bring you joy.
Things that help you deal with your emotions.
Or maybe it's just remembering that, hey, you're not alone in this, you know? There is always hope, even when it feels dark.
Yeah, the human spirit's pretty amazing like that.
It really is. Thanks for joining us on this journey, you know, exploring Allison Holker's memoir.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Hopefully you learned some new things
Absolutely.
and are feeling hopeful.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep finding those stories that you connect with.
Yeah, the ones that really light you up.